Failing Forward by John C. Maxwell. The inevitability of failure can often be a daunting thought, but consider it not as an end, but a stepping stone, an essential aspect of your progress. It is not uncommon for many of us to tiptoe around the possibility of failure, but entrepreneurs, they see it differently. The crème de la crème of the business world attribute their triumphs to their unyielding resilience in the face of setbacks. And these setbacks are not rare. The road to success for an entrepreneur often involves a detour, or many. On average, it takes about 4 unsuccessful attempts before an entrepreneur can establish a prosperous venture. Entrepreneurs understand this principle. They know that even a failed enterprise can be a victory in disguise, leaving them better off than when they began. But if they had let their fear of failure bind their feet at the starting line, they would not have taken a single step forward. In the pragmatic landscape of life and business, a single setback does not necessarily mean a dead end. To illustrate this, let us look at the story of Sergio Zyman, a marketing pioneer who worked for Coca-Cola in the 1980s. When Zyman introduced the Diet Coke line, it was an instant sensation. This victory not only elevated Zyman's status within the company, but also fueled his courage to venture into audacious new ideas. So, when the opportunity arose to reformulate Coke, Zyman proposed to rebrand it as New Coke. He was so convinced of its potential success that he persuaded the company to discontinue the original formula. However, contrary to Zyman's expectations, New Coke was a disaster. The rebranded drink struggled to make its way to consumers, and the debacle cost Coca-Cola a whopping $100 million, and Zyman his position in the company. To revive from this fall, Coca-Cola brought back their iconic drink, but under a different name, Coca-Cola Classic. And, as fate would have it, Coca-Cola Classic became an unparalleled success. The beverage gained even more popularity than before, and Zyman's initial failure to reinvent the brand unexpectedly paved the way for resounding success at Coca-Cola. The company's leadership recognized this, and in 1993, Roberto Gozzetta, Coca-Cola's chairman, brought Zyman back into the fold, acknowledging that he was extremely successful with Diet Coke, and that visionaries cannot be on the winning side 100% of the time. Every failure carries the speed of an equal or greater success. It is all about perspective. So, keep going, keep innovating, and remember, failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of it. Failure, rather than being a blockade, can often be the gateway to unprecedented opportunities. It is a common belief that failure begets only negative results. However, the reality often tells a different story. Many serendipitous discoveries and lucrative opportunities have emerged from the ashes of failures. A shining example of this is the story of celebrated inventor Thomas Edison. Edison toiled tirelessly to enhance the telegraph machine, but his efforts bore little fruit. But during this journey, he stumbled upon a discovery that was completely different. By tweaking his unsuccessful telegraph models, he managed to record sound that could be played back repeatedly. Edison leveraged his failure in one arena as a stepping stone to innovate something entirely new. A phrase coined by the 20th century author William Marston encapsulates this process perfectly as, quote, drawing dividends from failure. Marston, an inventor and psychologist, firmly believed in the crucial role of this ability to fail in eventually achieving success. In addition to revealing new opportunities, failure can serve as a potent motivator, driving us to strive harder and effect a positive change in our lives. Take the case of Bernie Marcus, the billionaire co-founder of Home Depot. In 1978, Marcus was ousted from his position as the CEO of the hardware chain Handy Dan due to internal power struggles. At that time, Marcus was financially supporting his parents, who were struggling to make ends meet. Determined to never fall prey to such corporate power struggles again, Marcus joined hands with Arthur Blank, a former colleague who had also been fired from Handy Dan. The duo launched their own hardware store the subsequent year. Today, Home Depot stands as one of the greatest retail successes in history. Do not perceive failure, such as being fired, as a dead end. Often, it is a bend in the road, leading you to avenues unexplored and fantastic opportunities. In the maze of life, the paths lit by failure can sometimes lead you right to the treasure. There is a difference between being to blame for your failures and being responsible for your successes, and it is critical to understand this. Often, failure arises from elements beyond our control. When that happens, it is not necessarily about assigning blame to ourselves and beating ourselves up. Instead, it is about assuming responsibility for uncovering new paths and new solutions. Consider the tale of a friend of mine, Greg Horn. Horn owned a supermarket that got swept away, literally, in the 1997 floods in Kentucky, a sight that was anything but super. In a twist of irony, Horn had insurance for just about any calamity you could think of, except for food damage. The floods undoubtedly were out of Horn's control, but he did not let this wave of despair drown him. Instead of surrendering to the elements, Horn took control of his circumstances. His goal was clear: to get his store back on its feet as soon as possible. Keeping his team of 80 employees afloat during this time, Horn plunged into the restoration of the store. The refurbishments dug a $1 million hole in his pocket, but remarkably, he managed to reopen the doors in just 21 days. This account of Horn's resilience demonstrates that our future is a sculpture, and we hold the chisel. Responsibility in this regard is the artist's hand guiding the chisel. To bring this point home further, consider another example. Roger Crawford, an American tennis player who happens to have a condition called ectrodactylism, meaning he was born with several fingers and toes missing. But did Crawford see this as an obstacle? Not at all. He held onto the belief that he was responsible for shaping his future. He held the chisel. He pursued his dream of being a professional tennis player, and he achieved it, earning recognition from the American Professional Tennis Association as the first professional tennis player in the United States with any disability. Crawford's key to success? The responsibility he assumed for his life. His journey took a starkly different path from another individual he knew with his same condition. This person perceived himself as a victim of unfavorable circumstances, harboring bitterness towards the world for the way he was born. Unfortunately, this attitude obviously stood as a barrier between him and success. We may not be able to control the hand we are dealt in life, or in this case, even the fingers. But how do we play our hand? That is entirely up to us. Making friends with failure, embracing it as a teacher rather than a nemesis, can unlock the door to your success. The thought of kickstarting a venture with an intention to fail might seem counterintuitive, just a little bit. But let us flip our perspective for a moment. Picture failure not as a dead end, but a reservoir of enlightening experiences, a crucible for refining your craft. This concept is beautifully depicted in a story from a book titled Art and Fear by David Bales and Ted Orland, published in 1993. Picture this. A ceramics teacher splits her class into two groups. The first group is told their grade will be based on the sheer volume of art they create, not the quality. The goal was simple: create as much as you can. The second group, in contrast, was given a different challenge, more quality-based. Focus on crafting just one single piece of art for the entire duration of the course, with their grade being decided on the quality of this single piece. Interestingly, the group that was tasked with mass production ended up crafting higher quality pieces, despite the other group investing much more time in the creation of the single piece they were being graded on. What made the difference? The first group made mistakes, lots of them, but with each mistake, they learned, they refined their approach, and honed their skills. Their creativity expanded with every new piece they created. Learning from failure requires a purposeful effort to understand what went wrong. There is a comic strip from the famous Peanuts series that sheds light on this idea. In it, Charlie Brown is trying to build a sandcastle, only for a wave to come and destroy it. He acknowledges that there is a lesson to be learned here, but does not make an effort to uncover what that lesson is. In the face of failure, it is easy to echo Charlie Brown's sentiment, claiming we do not have the bandwidth to dissect what went wrong. But if we succumb to this mindset, we run the risk of repeating the same mistakes over and over. By identifying the root causes of failure, we enable ourselves to learn, evolve, and build better sandcastles, perhaps a little further from the waves next time. So, let us turn failure into our tutor, instead of seeing it as an enemy. It is this learning process, this evolution, that propels us to progress. Take the plunge, make mistakes, learn from them, and keep iterating. That is the formula for creating amazing things. Taking on the unknown and embracing the risk of failure can pave the way to enduring success. Think about when you are traveling a city by car. Driving around, it is unlikely you will hit green lights all the way, right? Of course, there are always red lights. Now, imagine if we regarded our failures like those red lights. Only momentary pauses, not roadblocks to our ultimate goal that completely stops us. There is no denying failure can be disheartening, but it is the fear of failure that is truly detrimental. It holds us hostage, jeopardizing our journey towards success. So, our task is to confront it, challenge it, at every twist and turn. Take the story of Amelia Earhart, a trailblazing aviator. When attempting an equatorial flight, she suffered a crash right on takeoff. Yet, that did not deter her. She continued down her path and eventually ended up setting 6 world records, one of which was becoming the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic. And it is not just in these remarkable stories that we find examples of overcoming the fear of failure. Our daily lives are filled with such instances. Driving a car, for example, comes with its inherent risks, but we do it anyway. Staying at home or choosing to cycle due to fear of a car accident could, ironically, place you in more danger. In fact, about 15 to 17% of accidents resulting in injuries are associated with cycling and home-based activities. Even in our professional lives, there is an abundance of opportunity to confront our fear of failure and take action. Suggesting an innovative strategy or volunteering for added responsibilities at work can be excellent ways to combat this fear. And as a bonus, it could also earn you the respect of your coworkers. Refusing to embrace risks could send a different message to your team, one of a lack of ambition, or even that of being simply lethargic and not caring. But remember, taking risks means accepting the possibility of failure. By doing so, you are setting yourself up to seize significant victories in the long run. Do not let the fear of failure become your own red light, completely stopping you. Instead, let it just be a signal to pause, reassess, and then continue driving towards your destination. Success, after all, is just a few traffic lights away. If we are to maximize our potential for success, it requires us to have precise goals, effective interpersonal skills, and a consistently upbeat perspective. The ability to accept and rise above failure illuminates new pathways to success. To journey on these paths effectively, 3 practices come in hand: setting goals, honing your social skills, and fostering a positive mindset. As writer Don Marquis observed, many people do not have a clear vision of what they want, yet they are willing to pour blood, sweat, and tears into their vague pursuits. The key to unlocking success is to funnel this thirst for transformation, this energy, into tangible objectives. So instead of merely bemoaning your daily grind, "I'm working so hard," establish goals that will lead you to a more satisfying outcome. For instance, you might consider investing in real estate to generate a steady passive income, enabling you to step into early retirement. In conjunction with goal setting, strong people skills can prove instrumental in your journey to success. In today's interconnected world, most endeavors, projects, and aspirations can only be realized through the cooperation of stakeholders, investors, teams, and employees. By investing time in enhancing your communication, negotiation skills, and conversational abilities, you will be in a significantly better position to earn the endorsement of your peers, thereby unlocking new opportunities to realize your dreams and ambitions. Finally, maintaining a positive mindset is your secret weapon. Training yourself to find value in even the most challenging of experiences can make the difference between throwing in the towel and pressing forward. The American author W. Clement Stone once shared a story about a woman who was unhappy with her new life after moving across the country to join her spouse. In a letter from her mother, the woman learned of a tale about 2 prisoners. While one man gazed outward through the prison bars, he saw only mud, while another man who gazed through the bars only saw the stars. The woman understood that although she could not alter her circumstances, she did have the power to change her perspective on it. By embracing a positive attitude, she opened her eyes to fresh opportunities that her previous dissatisfaction had obscured. By blending clear objectives, people skills, and a positive mindset, we are all capable of forging our unique paths to success, creating not just a productive life, but one that is deeply fulfilling. This concludes Failing Forward.